Today, Canada woke up to a shocking development that is sending waves across the country's economy and political system. One of the most powerful companies in the world, Amazon, has suddenly decided to shut down all of its warehouses in the province of Quebec. This decision affects 7 different facilities and will result in more than 1,700 workers losing their jobs in the coming weeks. For many families, this news came completely without warning. Workers who had stable jobs just days ago are now facing uncertainty about their future. Some employees who spoke to reporters said they were shocked, confused, and even emotional when they heard the announcement. Many of them had worked for Amazon for years, slowly building their careers and believing they had long-term job security. The speed of this decision is what has surprised many experts and political observers. Normally, when large companies close facilities, they take many months or even years to slowly reduce operations. They usually try to restructure, reduce hours, or move workers to other positions before making a final decision. But in this case, Amazon announced that all 7 warehouses in Quebec would shut down within just 2 months. This extremely fast timeline has raised serious questions across Canada. Many people are asking the same thing: why would a global company like Amazon suddenly leave an entire province so quickly? To understand this situation, we need to look at what makes Quebec different from the rest of Canada. Quebec is currently the only province in the country where Amazon warehouse workers successfully formed the union. That means employees there organized together to negotiate better working conditions, wages, and protections. For large corporations, unionization can sometimes change how businesses operate because it gives workers stronger legal rights. Once workers form a union, companies must enter collective bargaining negotiations. These negotiations are meant to create agreements about wages, safety conditions, and job protections. In Quebec, labor laws are known to be among the strongest in North America, which means companies must follow strict rules when dealing with organized workers. When Amazon workers in Quebec successfully formed their union, it immediately changed the legal environment for the company's operations in that province. Shortly after the union victory, negotiations were expected to begin between Amazon management and worker representatives. But before those negotiations could move forward, the company made its dramatic announcement: it would shut down every warehouse operation in Quebec. Within weeks, the decision spread across news channels, social media, and political discussions throughout Canada. Many experts began analyzing whether this move was simply a business decision or something more strategic. Workers themselves reacted with disbelief. One supervisor who had worked for Amazon for 4 years explained that it took a long time to build a stable position in the company. He said finding a stable job is already difficult, and now many employees must start again from the beginning. For these workers, the closure means more than just losing a paycheck. Many families depend on these salaries to pay for housing, car loans, groceries, and childcare. Losing a job suddenly can create serious financial pressure. Some workers even described seeing their co-workers in tears after hearing the news. For many of them, the warehouse had become a long-term workplace where they expected to build their future. But while workers are dealing with uncertainty, Amazon continues operating globally without any major financial impact. The company is one of the largest and most profitable corporations in human history. Its global operations span dozens of countries, and its online marketplace continues to generate billions in revenue every year. This contrast between the company's global strength and the sudden shutdown in Quebec has made the situation even more controversial. Government officials in Quebec have also begun reviewing the situation carefully. Labor authorities say they will analyze whether the company followed all legal rules when announcing the layoffs. Under Quebec law, large companies must follow strict procedures when they dismiss a large number of workers at the same time. Amazon has announced that affected employees will receive 14 weeks of severance pay. The company presented this as part of its support for workers during the transition period. However, critics quickly pointed out that 14 weeks of severance is actually the minimum requirement under Quebec law for collective layoffs. In other words, the company is providing exactly what the law requires, but nothing additional. This detail has added fuel to the growing debate around the situation. Another major question being asked is whether Amazon truly needed to leave Quebec at all. Demand for Amazon services in the province remains very strong. In fact, reports suggest that nearly 2/3 of households in Quebec have Amazon Prime subscriptions. That means millions of customers regularly order products from the platform. From a business perspective, this level of customer demand usually makes a market very attractive for companies. So if demand was strong and operations were running, why would Amazon suddenly close every warehouse in the province? To answer that question, many analysts believe we must look deeper at the relationship between corporations and labor laws. Across North America, many companies closely watch how labor organizing develops inside their facilities. When workers successfully unionize, it can influence how companies structure their operations in the future. For Amazon, Quebec had become a unique environment. It was the only province in Canada where warehouse employees had successfully organized under union representation. Some observers believe the company decided it was easier to change its entire operating model rather than continue direct employment under these conditions. Instead of running warehouses with direct employees, Amazon plans to shift toward a system that relies more heavily on third-party logistics companies and subcontractors. This means packages will still be delivered to customers, but the workers handling those deliveries may not be Amazon employees anymore. This strategy allows companies to continue serving customers while reducing direct responsibility for labor conditions and employment protections. However, critics argue that this approach simply moves jobs away from stable employment into less secure contractor positions. As the story continues to develop, many people across Canada are watching closely. Workers, unions, politicians, and economists are all trying to understand what this decision means not only for Quebec, but for the entire country. Because if a major corporation can exit an entire province so quickly, it raises an important question about the future of jobs, worker protections, and corporate power in Canada. The closing of warehouses by Amazon has now become a serious national discussion across Canada. What started as a business decision is now raising many questions about the future of jobs, the economy, and the direction of the country. Many workers who depended on these warehouses are now worried about their income and their families. For many years, Amazon warehouses created thousands of jobs in different provinces. These jobs helped many people pay their rent, buy groceries, and support their children. But now, with several warehouses shutting down, many workers are suddenly facing uncertainty. Some employees say they received very little warning before the closures were announced. Local communities are also feeling the impact. When a large warehouse closes, it does not only affect the workers inside the building. It also affects nearby restaurants, small shops, delivery drivers, and many local services. When hundreds of workers lose their jobs, the entire local economy can slow down. At the same time, political leaders in Ottawa are now facing growing pressure to respond. Many people are asking the federal government why such large job losses are happening and what steps will be taken to protect Canadian workers. Some analysts say the issue is also becoming political because of the role of economic policy and leadership. The name of Mark Carney has started appearing more often in discussions about the country's economic direction. While Carney is known internationally as a respected financial leader, critics say the current economic environment in Canada is creating serious stress for businesses and workers. Supporters of Carney argue that global economic problems are affecting many countries, not just Canada. They say inflation, supply chain changes, and new technology are transforming how companies operate. From this perspective, Amazon's decisions may be part of a larger global shift rather than a problem created only inside Canada. However, many critics disagree. They believe the government must do more to keep major employers in the country and protect jobs for Canadian families. Some are calling for stronger policies to encourage companies to keep their operations inside Canada rather than moving them elsewhere. Meanwhile, workers who lost their jobs are trying to figure out what comes next. Some are searching for new work, while others are hoping the government will step in with support programs or retraining opportunities. For older workers especially, finding a new job can be very difficult, which is why this issue is creating strong emotions across the country. Another concern is the long-term message this sends to other companies. If large corporations begin closing major facilities, some experts worry that other businesses may follow similar paths. That could create a wider economic slowdown if not handled carefully. This is why many people are now watching closely to see how leaders in Ottawa respond. Will new economic policies be introduced? Will there be support for affected workers? Or will the situation continue to grow into a larger national debate? Across Canada, the conversation is getting louder. Workers, business owners, and political leaders are all asking the same question: what does this moment mean for the future of the Canadian economy? For now, one thing is clear. the closure of Amazon warehouses has become more than just a business story. It has turned into a symbol of deeper economic worries that many Canadians are now feeling. And as this situation continues to develop, the response from leaders, including voices connected to figures like Mark Carney, may shape the next chapter of Canada's economic future. The coming weeks could reveal whether this moment becomes a temporary shock or the beginning of a much larger national change. As this story continues to spread across Canada, many people are starting to ask a bigger and deeper question. Is this only about warehouses closing, or is it a warning sign of something larger happening in the Canadian economy? For many workers, the situation feels personal. Losing a job is not just about money. It creates stress for families, uncertainty for the future, and fear about what comes next. Some workers who spent years working inside these warehouses say they feel shocked and disappointed. They believe these jobs would remain stable for a long time. The company at the center of this situation, Amazon, has always been known as one of the largest employers in the modern economy. Its warehouses helped power online shopping and fast delivery across the country. Millions of Canadians rely on these services every day. But now, with some facilities closing, many people are wondering if the company is changing its strategy in Canada. Businesses sometimes reorganize their operations to reduce costs or move resources to different locations. However, when a company this large makes big changes, the effects can spread quickly. Local leaders in several communities have already started speaking out. They say that when large corporations make decisions that affect hundreds of workers, governments must step in and look carefully at the impact. Some officials are calling for new discussions about how Canada can protect jobs and keep investment inside the country. At the same time, the political conversation in Ottawa is becoming more intense. Economic leadership is now under the spotlight. The name of Mark Carney continues to appear in discussions about economic policy, financial stability, and the direction Canada may take in the future. Carney has a long history in global finance, and many people respect his experience. But moments like this often bring strong debate. Some Canadians believe the country needs new economic strategies to protect workers and attract businesses. Others argue that global economic pressures are affecting every nation and cannot be solved by one policy alone. For senior citizens watching these developments, the issue can feel especially important. Many seniors worry about the stability of the economy for their children and grandchildren. They remember times when good jobs were easier to find and large employers stayed in communities for decades. Today, the world economy is changing very quickly. Technology, automation, and global competition are transforming how companies operate. Warehouses are becoming more automated, delivery systems are evolving, and businesses are constantly searching for efficiency. Because of these changes, governments everywhere are trying to balance two important goals: supporting businesses while also protecting workers. It is not always an easy balance. For Canada, this moment may become an important test. The response from leaders in Ottawa could show how the country plans to handle economic challenges in the years ahead. Will new policies be introduced to support workers who lost their jobs? Will new investments come to replace the lost warehouses? Or will this situation become a sign of deeper economic changes? Right now, no one has all the answers. But what is clear is that Canadians across the country are watching closely. Workers are waiting to see what opportunities come next. Communities are hoping their local economies will recover. And political leaders are under pressure to show strong leadership during a difficult moment. In the end, the closure of these warehouses may become more than just a business headline. It could become part of a much larger national conversation about jobs, leadership, and the economic future of Canada. And as this story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: the decisions made today could shape the direction of Canada for many years to come.